You think you know the world? Think again. Let's start with something that sounds like science fiction but is happening right now. The continents are on the move. North America is drifting away from Europe at about the same speed your fingernails grow. Imagine that every few months, the Atlantic Ocean gets a tiny bit wider. This slow, relentless dance is all thanks to plate tectonics, the engine that reshapes our world. But that's just the beginning. Let's travel to a place that defies our expectations of a continent. Did you know that Australia is wider than the moon? That's right. The diameter of the moon is about 3,400 kilometers, while Australia, from east to west, stretches nearly 4,000 kilometers. So, next time you look up at that big, beautiful moon, remember there's a continent down here that could give it a run for its money in a cosmic size comparison. Now, let's talk about borders, the lines we draw on maps. Some are simple, straight lines, but others are incredibly complex. Take a look at the border between the Netherlands and Belgium. In the town of Barrow, the border is a chaotic patchwork. It zigs and zags through streets, houses, and even cafes. You could literally be having coffee with your friend and you're in Belgium while they're in the Netherlands, sitting at the same table. It's a cartographer's nightmare and a tourist's delight. These complex borders are historical leftovers from medieval land-swapping deals between feudal lords. From complex lines to a country with no lines at all. Well, almost. Russia is so vast it spans 11 time zones. When someone in Western Russia is sitting down for their 7 p.m. dinner, people in the Far East are just starting their workday at 6 a.m. the next day. It's a country that literally lives into different days at once. Managing a country where time itself is this stretched out is an incredible logistical challenge. Speaking of vastness, let's go from the widest country to the highest point on Earth. We all know it's Mount Everest, right? But here's a twist. While Everest has the highest altitude above sea level, it's not actually the closest point on Earth to space. That honor goes to Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador. Because the Earth is the perfect sphere it bulges at the equator, Chimborazo's peak is further from the Earth's center than Everest's. So, if you want to get as close to the stars as possible without leaving the ground, Ecuador is your destination. From the highest highs, let's plunge into the deepest lows. The Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean is the deepest part of any ocean on the planet. Its lowest point, the Challenger Deep, is nearly 11,000 meters down. If you were to place Mount Everest inside the trench, its peak would still be covered by more than 2 kilometers of water. The pressure down there is over 1,000 times what we experience at sea level, equivalent to 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of you. Yet life, in its most bizarre and resilient forms, still finds a way to thrive in that crushing darkness. Let's draw off and head to the desert. The Atacama Desert in Chile is the driest non-polar desert in the world. Some weather stations there have never recorded a single drop of rain. It's so arid and its landscape is so otherworldly that NASA uses it to test Mars rovers. It's one of the few places on Earth where the soil is almost as lifeless as the soil on Mars, a true alien landscape right here on our home planet. Now for a geographical oddity that feels like a glitch in the Matrix. Did you know you can walk from the United States to Russia? It's true, but only when the sea freezes over in winter. In the Bering Strait, there are 2 islands called the Diomed Islands. Big Diomed belongs to Russia, and Little Diomed belongs to the U.S. They are only about 4 kilometers apart. Because the international date line runs right between them, Big Diomed is 21 hours ahead of Little Diomed. So, in winter, you could theoretically walk from the U.S. into Tomorrow in Russia. They're nicknamed Tomorrow Island and Yesterday Isle for this very reason. Let's talk about a country inside a city, Rome is famous for many things, but one of its most unique features is that it hosts an entire country within its city limits, Vatican City. It's the smallest independent state in the world, both in area and population. But that's not all. Italy also completely surrounds another tiny country, San Marino. So, Italy is the only country in the world that has two other countries located entirely within its borders. From tiny countries to giant lakes that act like seas. The Caspian Sea is the largest inland body of water on Earth. It's so big that it's bordered by 5 different countries: Kazakhstan, Russia, Azerbaijan, Iran, and Turkmenistan. Despite its name, it has characteristics of both a sea and a lake. It's a saltwater body, but it's completely landlocked. This unique status has led to decades of political debate among the bordering nations over how to classify it, because whether it has a sea or a lake has huge implications for rights to its rich oil and gas reserves. Now, how about a river that flows under another river? In the Amazon basin, scientists discovered the Rio Hamza, a massive underground river flowing thousands of feet beneath the Amazon River. It follows a similar path but is much wider and flows much, much slower. It's not a river in the traditional sense, more like a slow seeping of water through porous rock, but its scale is immense. It just goes to show how many secrets our planet still holds, hidden right under our feet. Let's look at another mind-bending border. Point Roberts is a small piece of the United States that's not physically connected to it. To get there by land from Washington State, you have to drive about 40 minutes through Canada. It was created by a historical quirk when the 49th parallel was established as the border between the U.S. and Canada. The line cuts straight across the Tsawwassen Peninsula, leaving this small tip of land isolated from the rest of the country. For the residents, a simple trip to the grocery store in the U.S. can involve 2 international border crossings. And what about a place where the sun doesn't set for months? In places north of the Arctic Circle, like Svalbard, Norway, the phenomenon of the midnight sun occurs during the summer. The sun remains visible 24 hours a day. Conversely, during the winter, they experience the polar night, where the sun doesn't rise above the horizon for months on end. Imagine living your life in continuous daylight or perpetual twilight for part of the year. It completely reshapes daily routines and life itself. Here's another cool fact about Africa. It's the only continent that stretches across all 4 hemispheres. It crosses the equator, placing it in both the northern and southern hemispheres, and it also crosses the prime meridian, placing it in both the eastern and western hemispheres. No other continent can make that claim. It is, quite literally, the world's most centrally located continent. Finally, let's end with a watery wonder. Did you know there is a place on Earth where the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans meet but don't mix? Well, that's a popular myth. The famous photos you see of 2 different colored bodies of water meeting are usually where fresh water from melting glaciers meets the salt water of the ocean. The 2 do eventually mix, but their different densities and compositions create a stunning, temporary boundary. The real meeting point of the Atlantic and Pacific is the Drake Passage, a notoriously rough stretch of water, where the currents clash in a turbulent, chaotic dance. The world is filled with these amazing, strange, and beautiful quirks of geography. Every line on a map, every mountain peak, and every drop of water has a story to tell. What we see on the surface is just the beginning. The more you explore, the more you realize how wonderfully complex and fascinating our planet truly is. Thanks for joining me on this journey around the globe. If you enjoyed these facts, make sure to like and subscribe for more adventures. See you next time.